All right. Well, welcome to our meditation session for February 11th. Glad to have you folks here. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the notion of karma, and at least how we'll define it for today. This kind of comes with a little bit of a story. And so the story sort of begins when if you have, think of having two people waiting for a bus and it starts to rain and there's no shelter on the bus. You can have one person who is kind of mumbling under their breath and upset and angry and kind of scowling and exhibiting that. And you could have another person who's standing there in the rain and smiling and perhaps even singing in the rain or dancing or just enjoying the fact that they're out there. And so we might ask ourselves sort of why the difference? They are, from a sensation standpoint, experiencing the same thing. They're both feeling the rain, they're feeling perhaps the cold and sort of how they're feeling. Um, but the way that they mediate that through their consciousness is different. And one of the ways we can examine that or think about that is through the notion of what we might refer to as our karmic seeds. Um, and we can even translate this into some other ways of thinking about it. For instance, in transactional analysis, they have a notion of life scripts, which they talk about how they sort of define how you see yourself and then how you experience the present through seeing that. And in a lot of ways, karmic seeds or karma can be seen in the same way. So we can see it as a process where our past actions, interactions, intentions, our emotional states influence from the past, influence how we see the present, the karmic fruit, if you will. And so what happens is, or the notion is that these seeds that are planted earlier in our life, early in our time, they grow, and much like any other seeds might grow, and they produce fruit. And the fruit is the present. And the present that we experience, which really is the only moment that we had, um, is a result of those seeds. So if those seeds have a lot of anger or disappointment or anxiety, or what sometimes people, when I teach, write in their journals as overthinking and worry and how people see me, then we experience the present through those seeds or through that fruit that is contained. And so that by being able to sort of bring this to awareness and to look at the present moment and to examine, in a sense, how we experience the present moment as it arises for us, we can go back and inspect and look at what are the karmic seeds. And those seeds can be altered because the present, which becomes, in a sense, the seeds for the future, can be adjusted so that when it rains on you next time you're waiting for a bus, um, rather than being angry, you can enjoy the rain. Hopefully, you won't get a cold or the flu, but you can perceive the moment. You can mediate that experience through a different lens, a different way of looking at things. So, as we meditate today, that's just something to sort of think about and consider. So I'm going to set my watch for 20 minutes and we will begin the meditation. All right. So as we begin our meditation today, as I typically do, and as we start, we will just kind of get ourselves settled, close our eyes, get ourselves into our meditation position. Hopefully, everybody is in a nice, quiet environment. And we'll start with our breath, just slowly breathing in and around and out. And as I did yesterday in my class, as we are breathing, in order for us to try to help us focus on concentrating and focusing our attention on our breath, as we breathe and complete a cycle of breath, We can repeat the word centered, which allows us to be centered in our breath. So it's fairly simple to start. We breathe in, we recognize where the breath comes into our nostrils. It could be at the tip of our nostrils or further up, wherever you first experience it. You might notice, depending on the environment that you're in, that the air is cool as it comes in, and you can sense that. And so you breathe in, up, around. You notice the exchange between the in-breath and the out-breath. And we breathe out, and we notice the exchange of the out-breath to the in-breath. So we can focus our attention and break the breath up into smaller pieces. So we breathe in, out, and we're centered. We breathe in, we breathe out, and we are centered. And as we center ourselves, and as we focus on our breath, we let whatever arises, whatever we bring with us today to our session, we allow that to come to our consciousness. We see it, we hold on to it, we let it go. So we recognize whatever mental state we bring with us: worry, feeling rushed, calmness, thinking about our to-do list, stress, whatever is there. Don't try to push it away. Let it arise. Recognize it. Don't hold on. Don't cling to it. Don't grasp it. Let it go. See it just like the wind, a light breeze blowing across us. We experience the breeze. We can almost see the wind pass us by, and we see that process. And like our breath, we breathe the air in, we breathe the air out, and we let it go. And as we breathe, we expand our sensation and the experience of it. We feel our lungs expand. We feel our bellies rise. We feel our breath go out as our bellies retract, as our lungs contract. And we recognize that this process goes on continually, and we follow it along, and we follow it along. And we'll take a brief moment to focus on our breath in silence, without my guiding you, just a few in-breaths and out-breaths, and to focus our energy in silence without any guide. So we begin. And we come and we center ourselves. And as we sit and focus on our breath, we can imagine flowers in the spring, and how we can see the wind blow as we watch these flowers. Perhaps we're sitting outside on a breezy spring day, late in the spring, so the warmth has really arisen, perhaps late May, early June. And it's breezy, and the flowers are beginning. We can even see the pollen that blows. And in that pollen, those little dust particles, those are seeds. And those seeds carry some genetic code so that the seed, when it implants somewhere, will know how to grow. So much like the seeds that are in us, those karmic seeds, we can envision these seeds as we sit, perhaps at a botanical gardens, perhaps in our backyards, perhaps in a park, any place that is comfortable where you can envision yourself sitting and watching and seeing flowers, red flowers, blue flowers, yellow flowers. As you sit there and watch, you take in the colors and you see the different colors, almost like a rainbow in front of you, spread out across the field or across your backyard or in the park. And you sit and you watch them and you take in the fragrance. So we alert another sensation, another way of knowing the world and seeing the world. And we take the fragrance in. The fragrance is sweet, and we experience it with memory. We experience it with association. We connect it to something inside of us, something we carry from our past. It could be a good association, could be a neutral association. It could be a reminder of the allergies we have to hay fever. Each individual will bring whatever memory and whatever their consciousness interprets to it at that moment. And the wind again goes by, and things are blown off the plants, and perhaps there are bees on the plants collecting pollen. And all of these events, all of these things we experience, the sensations we see, are all part of a cycle. Much like our breath is a cycle, much like our lives are a cycle. And the cycle is the sustaining of life on the planet and what all of that requires. And we watch, and the bees fly off and around, and they buzz, and we see them in their color, fuzzy yellow bees, big bees hovering over the plants. And they collect the pollen and they collect the seeds for the next generation of flowers, so that those seeds can go elsewhere, on another field, across the yard. And if we follow a bee, watch the bee float off, fly off, hovering and flying and hovering, going somewhere. And we can vision that the seed that the bee is carrying is dropped somewhere. We can see it dropped into the ground. We can envision that single seed, just that small single seed, even though we know there are thousands, millions, perhaps an uncountable amount, but we follow just one of the seeds. We let the seed drop, we see it, it implants itself in the grass, in the dirt. And over time, dirt covers it. And we can envision on some days, maybe in the evening, a thunderstorm. And we can see the lightning and hear the thunder. And those too bring up associations and memory from our past. They too trigger our karmic seeds. Perhaps you're frightened of thunderstorms, or perhaps you're enlightened by thunderstorms, but you experience them through that, your conscious mind, your awareness of it. Each individual's experience is different, but also in some ways it is the same, as we see the same light, we hear the same crack of thunder, we see the same rain falling down. but we consciously experience it differently. We experience the phenomena because of what we bring to the table. And we allow whatever that is to just come to the forefront and allow it to be there. We experience it mindfully, without judgment. We just watch it now. The rain is just rain, water falling from the sky. The thunder is sound. Perhaps we can envision the vibrations and the waves in the atmosphere as they come towards us. We can slow that process down and almost see it come at us. And we can envision the waves hitting our eardrums and the electrical impulses that are created in our bodies up through our brain. And we experience it. We sense it. And then through our consciousness, we give it some sort of meaning, some sort of attachment of how we experience it. And we go back to the seed. And over time and slowly, the seed starts to awaken, starts to move. It has no emotion. It doesn't think about it. It just acts. It just is, in the way that little shoots come out of the plant. And the shoots are seeking nutrition. It is what they are programmed to do. It doesn't think about it. It doesn't think about the quality of the nutrition. Whether it's there or not will allow the plant to grow or to wither. And so it needs to gather what it can. And the outcome is what the outcome will be. It's neither good nor bad. It just either the plant will flourish, or the plant will wither, or the plant will get picked, or someone will come by and disturb the ground so the plant gets taken out. But the plant doesn't think about it, doesn't care about it as we think about it. It acts truly in a non-judgmental way because it is just acting on its genetic code and to the environmental elements around it that support its growth or don't support its growth or disturb its growth. But we can see the flower. This plant is getting a good amount of moisture. The soil is rich. It has the proper nutrients that have come from all sorts of things. Nitrogen, oxygen, whatever else it takes to grow a plant. Things we can't see, but that are interacting. They are in some ways the unconscious material for the seed, for the plant. Much like we have unconscious material that we hold and we, at times, and if we focus our attention, will rise in us. And the plant just accepts what comes. We sometimes accept what comes, sometimes we try to push it away, but it's always there. It's an undeniable thing. It's part of the whole environment, and the whole environment is what's required to allow the plant to grow. Just like the whole environment is what allows us to grow and to continue. And we watch the plant rise slowly, almost like a time-lapse video where we speed it up so that we can see it move, but that it's still slow enough to observe. And we watch the plant grow, a green little stem popping out of the ground, maybe bent over. And slowly we see it reach up, and it requires sunshine. light from a star 93 million miles away. The light travels quickly from the great distance to nourish that single flower, that single plant. And since it's late spring, the sun is high in the sky and at its most brilliant and staying out for the longest of any point in the year. And if we can envision a ray of light, a wave of light, however we want to envision that, coming all the way from that star 93 million miles away and traveling towards the earth, way off in the distance, and hitting that plant eventually, we can see the connection between the plant, the water, the soil, the nutrients in the soil, the light, the nutrients in the light, all coming together. And we know that without any of those things being present, the plant, the flower that is genetically designed, if you will, to grow, won't grow. It needs all of those things for its nourishment. And we let the plant grow, and we come back to our breath, and we refocus ourselves, and we take a long, slow, deep breath. Again, feeling the air in our nostrils, up, around, the exchange between the incoming air, the inhale, the momentary break, the exhale, the momentary break. We too need the external environment. We are connected to that environment. Much like the sun and that one ray of sunlight that we watched in our mind's eye come from the sun to the plant, we too require that sun, that beam of light, that ray of light for us. It provides us with vitamin D, so our skin is healthy. It provides us with our rhythms for the day so that we follow it along and we are triggered when to sleep, when to wake. So the sun also feeds us, much like it feeds the plant. So we, us, as individuals, as people, as a grouping, are much like the plant. We need the same things. We too need water. Without it, we will also wither. We need the sun. Without it, we also will wither. We need the chemicals in the air, oxygen, and other chemicals in order to sustain ourselves. So we recognize that we are the same as the plant. We need the plant needs us. We are interconnected to the sun, to the water, to the rain, to the sound of the lightning. Tonight, when the sun dips below the horizon and the stars rise, which allows us to rest and to replenish, much like it allows the plant to rest and replenish. And so we come back to our seated position. We sit We take a breath and we allow whatever is there to arise in us. It rises, it comes to awareness, and like all things, it moves off. We don't grasp for it, we let it float away. And as we conclude, we'll take a few deep breaths in silence. So we breathe in, and we're centered. And we're centered. And we slowly open our eyes. I thank you for attending. Namaste. May the light in me shine in you.